Greetings and namaskar to all of you again. It's a pleasure and honor to bring you the next keynote address from the India stream of the Emergence 2021, which is a global virtual showcase of investors and investment platform. An amazing journey we've had so far, right from Australia, New Zealand, ASEAN countries, the rest of Asia, and now to bring the India stream to you. Thank you for being a part of this and tuning into this session. We've got an amazing personality from India as part of this next keynote address, Mr. Manoj Kohli, who's the country head of SoftBank-India and also heading the Future Business Group and leading the innovation segment and the Future Business segment as part of the one of the leading Indian industry body, Confederation of Indian Industries, and also very closely working on the gov-to-gov facilitation as well. Welcome, Manoj, on board this virtual showcase event of Emergence 2021. You've been an absolute inspiration for ecosystem, right from corporate industries as well as the startup ecosystem, and great to have you heading one of the premier investment institutions of startup investments in India. So welcome again, Manoj. I'll let you introduce yourself briefly, giving a bit of a background of your own journey before the startup ecosystem into startup ecosystem and also the investment space. If you can share some of your insights and your journey.
Thank you, Irfan. I think I really feel very good to be with you and with all the colleagues in Australia. I really feel privileged because sharing one's knowledge and experience is very, very important with each other for the world to grow faster and the world to recover faster from COVID-19. I have about 42 years of industrial experience, out of which 15 years, 16 years was manufacturing industries in the beginning, and then 20 years with telecom, and the last 6 years with digital services. And now I represent SoftBank Group and SoftBank Vision Fund in India, and we have invested about more than $12 billion of investment in digital startups and in more than 20 companies. And all our portfolio companies are doing very well because each sector, they are leading the innovation, leading the disruption, and really providing to people of India very high quality and affordable services and products. So this is a great opportunity for me to really share my knowledge and experience with entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. Some are 25, 27, 30, 32, and also with the young leadership teams of these companies to support them for scaling up 10x, 20x. That's the role I'm playing, and also helping them with government policies, helping the government also through CII on evolving positive policies for new investments in India, because this decade, which is coming 20 to 30, is going to be India's decade in terms of growth. Already on recovery from COVID, India is doing well, and we are recovered well. Vaccination has started, and economy is coming back at a very positive pace.
Thank you, Manoj. If you can also reflect on the Future Business Group and CII and the role you see, connecting with the global, outreach that you have.
CII, as you know, is the largest chamber of commerce of India and the most respected. I am the chairman of Future Business Group of CII, which basically attracts international investments for the core sectors of India, getting especially new technology sectors. And we have 5-6 sectors to be focused upon, which is infrastructure, manufacturing, pharmaceutical, healthcare, agriculture, and of course digital. We also have 5-6 big partner countries, which include US, Japan, Korea, Australia, EU, etc., so that we work closely with those countries to have close interaction as well as support to the new investment in these sectors from these partner countries and vice versa. Indian companies also going to US, Japan, Korea, and Australia. We help them. So both ways we improve the trade, commerce, investments. And I believe that this will go a long way in helping all our partner countries and India, of course, recover faster than normal.
Great, thank you. Great words there. Obviously, through COVID, whilst most of the countries globally have been grappling with the situation, the economy, India has seen a major surge. Of course, India has had to deal with it, but it's come through very effectively. But India has seen a big surge post-COVID. And even during COVID, what I hear is there have been more than 11 unicorns coming out of, which is a great startup positive story as well. I would like you to share some of, from your perspective, what some of the startup investment trends have been being experienced in India.
Yes, you're right, Irfan. I feel that the government of India managed the COVID-19 in a very, very structured, very orderly fashion, starting from lockdown in March last year, and then gradually opening up of lockdown, gradual opening up of economy, which actually led to reasonably low impact on the country, low fatalities, and now the recovery being very, very well. I feel the recovery is nearly 90%, if not more, and maybe 2 or 3 sectors are still a bit slow, but definitely by April or May, all these sectors will come back to normal. The GDP has recovered last quarter. This quarter, it is expected to recover more. The power consumption is the biggest parameter in my view, where the growth is on year-to-year basis, which means January 20 versus January 21 is faster from pre-COVID days. Clearly meaning that economy is coming back robustly. I believe that this century, India will definitely grow towards 5 trillion economy and become number 3 GDP in the world. And I think the startup ecosystem will play a very, very vital role. Now, why is this? There are a few reasons I wanted to share with you, Irfan. One is that the 4G networks in India have grown deeply into maybe 300,000 to 400,000 villages. And very soon they'll cross 500,000 villages, which is great, which means that the network speed and network quality in the deep end of Indian market, not only the big metros, but also small, medium towns, villages, is growing well. Number 2 is that last 10 months of COVID-19, India has taken a leap of maybe 10 years on digital behavior of our customers. Again, in small towns, villages, people are doing online shopping. People who may not be very, very educated or tech savvy, people are doing digital transactions, financial transactions online on their mobile. And India has, fortunately, more than 1 billion phones, out of which more than 600 are smartphones. So, which is great news. And I think the smartphones are growing fast. So, obviously, you will see more growth of digital services. On the startup side, government has been very, very positive. Government has supported, and especially the Honorable Prime Minister has supported the new startups very, very well. He's really recognized and put on pedestal the young entrepreneurs of India, young leaders of India, because he knows that these are the people who will lead India in the next decade to become number 3 economy of the world. Another very important aspect of this is that the software development in India has picked up very well. In the last 20, 30 years, software has become a huge industry in India. But now, young boys and girls, if you go to small towns and villages, They want to become programmers. They want to become systems engineers, app developers, engineers who will support AI and machine learning, etc. So I am seeing a huge, huge hunger in the next generation of India to really go technology, which is fantastic. I mean, I don't think there'll be any other country like this with so many youngsters who are from the age of 10, 12, 15 coming up and really learning technology and really having a great mind for growing in technology. And that actually is helping the startup system. Other thing which is also very important is that the digital experience of customer has improved, and not only the experience is easier, but also the products and services sold are are good quality and affordable, because India is not a developed country, so affordability is important for India, and therefore I'm seeing many new startups within 1 or 2 years doing well. And you're right, even in lockdown, we had many unicorns coming up, and I can tell you in the next 2 3 years there'll be many more unicorns coming, and also many unicorns are listing in India as well as in Nasdaq. So clearly, funding has not been a problem. India, home offices, many banks have funded them. Global investors like SoftBank, of course, and many other private investors, equity investors, and venture funds have supported India's startups because the demand itself is growing well, and the future market is going to be 10x, if not more. So I am very confident that startup ecosystem will build up solidly, and young boys and girls who are engineers, chartered accountants, MBAs will really contribute massively to this mission of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which PM has personally launched last year.
Thank you, Manoj. I think you touched on the startup investment as well. What are your, I mean, obviously the trend's changing a lot more. Indian investors, family offices are beginning to, as part of their broad portfolio, looking at startup investments as well, even if it's a small ticket size. What are the challenges or opportunities that you see in the early stage investment for startups that you're seeing, as trending in India?
Early stage is a tough stage. Clearly, early stage, unfortunately, many startups die in the early stage, which is not good. I think there are 2 3 prerequisites for success. Number one, the product and the service has to be high quality and should have some USPs. Because if the product is good quality and has a unique feature, then customers will pick it up much faster. If it is a normal product, it doesn't have any USP, then it will take time for customers to prefer it. So I believe USPs are important for the product and services. Number two, the business model, which the entrepreneur follows, has to be a profitable digital business model. Because if it is struggling on margins, then there is a problem. I believe that the business model also has to be very digital, because the customer luckily is savvy on digital services. So it should be easy, very easy for customer to experience it, enter the app, exit the app, and really do the transaction very convenient. That is second. Third is the issue of the team. The team has to be very hungry team which really goes into the market solidly, pursues the customer solidly, starts the revenues. Because once the revenues start, I think the viability is not far away. And then is uh, all the scaling up processes like digitization, automation, and manpower planning, and finally the financial planning, funding is required. So if the scaling up is done on a frugal basis, and that's what India is known for, and Indian entrepreneurs are known for, because majority of entrepreneurs come from middle class, and they have frugality in their DNA, and that is how they make the company and the product very affordable, frugal, and therefore margins are healthy. And I believe that these are the things in the initial periods, 1 or 2 years, if the entrepreneurs and the leadership teams take care, then the success factor in the first 2 years will be much higher.
Great. Thank you for sharing those great, wonderful insights there. Just through the last year, you touched on and some of the successes we've experienced. Would you want to share some of those success stories or learnings from last year that resonate with you? And post-COVID, what the landscape is going to be looking for investors as well as for the startup ecosystems?
So last year was a very important test of startups because lockdown really was a kind of a shock to them. But in retrospect, it has turned out to be that they have converted, not all of them, but majority of them have converted the threat into opportunity. And they have taken 5 steps. Let me go through one by one. Number one, they have actually digitized the business model now. Clearly, they understood that digitization is important. So let's do that. Let's not have any manual activity, which is very, very important. Second thing is that they have built on innovation engine, which means new products and new services, new features. They are built on more so that during this period, now they can launch many of them one by one. Third thing is frugality, as I said earlier, higher cost efficiency, higher productivity, and drop in break-even points, which means that they can, and some of them I've seen have dropped the break-even point by 25%, even 40%, which means they can earn profit, start earning profits at 60% of the earlier capacity of pre-COVID days, which is fantastic. And next is that they have also started building high performance teams, which means that they have injected high performers and may have excluded some low performers so that the company performance goes up significantly. And last but not the least, they've understood the financial fitness, the concept of financial fitness, that financially you have to be strong, your revenues have to be stronger, your leverage and debt should be as low as possible, your margins have to be healthy and growing along with economies of scale. So they've understood the game of being financially fit and cash flow positive, because that is not understood by many startup entrepreneurs. And now COVID has really taught many good insights for a long-term sustainability of the business.
Great words of wisdom there. I think there's a lot to reflect, and I think we've seen quite a lot of transformation of business models as well and digital focus during this period. And I think post-COVID, that's going to be driving to underpin the success stories that we'll see from some of these startups from India. So really excited about it. Looking at the startup investment, obviously, there are two perspectives that I wanted to bring to this question here. What is the appetite of Indian investors in startup ecosystem globally? I mean, let me call investing into Australian startup ecosystem. And the second part, what would you say to Australian or global investors looking to invest into the Indian startup ecosystem?
No, Indian startup investors, whether they're Indian investors or international investors, have a lot of positive intention to invest in markets where Indian startups can go to. And for example, let me give you example of Ola. Ola is one of our investments in India and has already expanded into Australia and New Zealand, and now went to UK also. So clearly, Oyo is another example where it has gone to many countries, and many other startups have gone to many countries. And I feel Australia is an important market, and more startups you will see in the next couple of years will definitely arrive in Australia and do very good job, because they are very, very good brands, great services, and affordable, which is very good for Australian customers also. Now, talking about Australian startups and investors coming to India, that is a huge opportunity. And I will entreat upon all of you, all of the investors from Australia, to please consider this largest single market of the world. And the biggest market, which is growing from 3 trillion, close to 3 trillion, to crossing 5 trillion in the next 5-6 years. And I think this new $2 trillion of income will actually be captured by many, many startups, because these are startups who are bringing new value to the economy, new value to customer, and the returns will be healthy. So I believe that India as a market is picking up very well. This year in 2021, we are expecting a double-digit growth. World Bank says that we can grow by 11.5 in 21-22, which is April 21 to March 22. There are forecasts of 13% growth. So clearly we are heading for a double-digit growth, which is maybe one of the rarest in the world, which means recovery, not only recovery is fast, but also the businesses are organically growing much faster from pre-COVID days. So clearly I feel that if this is the case, this is the momentum India has picked up in 21, then Indian economy will grow much faster. And government is now focusing on huge sectors of infrastructure. For example, has pipeline of $1.4 trillion, the biggest in the world, which includes bridges, highways, ports, airports, and many other infrastructure elements. Government is really focusing a lot on pharma, because India is planned to become a pharmacy of the world. Also Make in India, which is the manufacturing in India, so that globally companies have a alternate or diverse supply chain from India. And education. Education is very big, and Indian young students not only are going to Australia, Canada, US, UK, and many other countries, but also e-education is also picking up very, very well. So the point I'm making is, I think for Australian investors and Australian startups, India is the place. And CII, on behalf of CII, I can say that we will definitely help you, guide you, support you in finding the right partner ecosystem here, in setting up your shop, in solving your problems in the first year, so that you settle down very smoothly in India.
Great, thank you, Manoj. It was quite inspiring there. Looking at the outlook ahead. It's a phenomenal growth story of the new India that we are looking forward to, and I'm sure the investors globally, including from Australia and New Zealand, will be actively looking forward to and working with you and your organizations in shaping those success stories as well. Thank you for that. On a last note, again, with your wealth of experience, not only before the startup ecosystem, but with the startup ecosystem, what are the words of advice for startup founders in terms of cap raise, investment raise, and early stage investment as they go through their high growth venture story?
No, as I said earlier, Irfan, the entrepreneurs have a tough time in the beginning to get their product right first, get their business model right second, get their leadership team right, which means they may have one partner, two partners, three partners right, so that they can contribute to the scale up, and finally get the funding right. Once these initial 3-4 things are done, then I believe by the year 2 or maybe year 3, the startup is ready to scale up substantially. And I feel that the initial years are very, very important, because you need to do the right things. You need to go to the right customers. You need to go have a right pricing for your goods and services. You need to have right quality. Everything will be tested and validated by the market. And once you are validated, then there is no looking back. Then you really can go ahead and let me tell you, today, the leading brands of the country today are startup brands, are digital brands, which is fantastic. I mean, I love it because I was involved in building Airtel as a telecom brand, and I know it is a tough job, but these startup brands have done a fantastic job. And today, not only young people of the country, but even elderly people know the startup digital brands very spontaneously, which is great. That means that they like the brand, they like the experience on the app, they like the affordability, they like quality, and they like to buy it again. So I believe that in India, with 1.3 billion population, going up to become the largest in the world in the next 5-7 years. Secondly, a youthful population of average age of 26, 27. Thirdly, the third largest GDP of the world. Fourth, and most important, a digitally savvy customer base. I think that's very important, because if they're not digitally savvy, if they don't have a smartphone, if they don't have a 4G network, then it's difficult. And finally, and most importantly, a growing market. The growth, by the way, in this decade is expected to be between 7 to 8%. Now, there are not many large markets, large economies, which will grow by this 7 to 8% as a sustainable way in this decade. So I think there is a great opportunity for Australian investors and startups to come to India. They're welcome. We invite them, and we'll help them set up their shop and stabilize their operations.
Thank you, Manojji, for sharing those insightful words and those words of inspiration as well, and invitation as well that you've extended to the global startup ecosystem, definitely Australia and the rest of the world as well. All looking forward to working collaboratively, part of the India growth story, the new India story as well. Thank you again, and appreciate all your support for Wholesale Investor Platform and this event Emergence 2021. We look forward to closely working with you and in this collaborative journey with yourself and your organizations as well. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Irfan, and good luck to all them.
Thank you.